If you're watching this video, you have bought or are considering getting some very nice sneakers because you've encountered the words Nappa leather in the upper. I'm a dude who has a channel about casual, often leathery footwear, and I just don't understand this part of it, and so there's no better place to come to than Goral Footwear in Sheffield, UK, who are kind enough to host me here today in their factory, and who better but Kamila Goral herself of the Goral family. Thanks for having me in your factory.
You're very welcome.
I gotta tell you, I don't know what Nappa leather is. It's the kind of word that gets thrown around a lot in the kind of higher end sneaker world. The only thing that seems to be consistent is people say it's soft.
Nappa leather comes from calves, lambs. It's just a little bit thinner. The thickness of the Nappa leather is 1.2, and the boot leather normally is around 2.2, just like we've got Horween here. So the boot leather needs to be thicker for it to stand up. The sneaker is for comfort. However, they are still from the full grain family of leathers.
But you just said it comes from calves, comes from lamb. I've also read it comes from kids. Goats, not calves, lambs, goats. You would say it's full grain.
You wouldn't get goat, sheep.
You wouldn't get goat? Why not?
No goats. Goat has a different texture. So it is a dyed through leather. However, it's just the tanning process doesn't include the protectors that the Horween has. And it's thinner because it normally, like you said, it does come from the baby's animals.
It's full grain, meaning it has the outer layer of the animal's hide. And because it comes from young animals, the grain is not super pronounced, scaly, bumpy. But if you look at it, you'll see some graininess, right? What's the benefits of a full grain leather?
It's harder wearing. It lasts a lot longer. It doesn't scuff as easily. Probably not as comfortable, but it lasts a lot longer.
How does Nappa leather hold up to water?
So because the tanning process doesn't include the protectors in it, it's just paint basically. So as you can imagine, the water will go through very easily.
And this is why a lot of people, they'll buy a Nappa leather sneaker and then they'll like quickly spray it with a protector.
Yes, it's very important, the aftercare after buying the sneakers.
Waterproof protectors, I hear some big leather guys say that's bad for the leather, it suffocates the leather, it wrecks the breathability, it clogs the pores, it'll ruin the way it ages. Others say it's totally fine. What do you think about spraying waterproofing stuff on Nappa leather? Any risks?
Not that I'm aware of. However, nourishing the leather is important to go alongside with the water repellent as well.
So then after that, the shoe becomes less breathable, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But more waterproof, and stain proof. So it depends on what you want.
It depends what the customer desires to choose.
Okay, so that's why you don't sell it with the waterproofing already on it. It's like, what do you want from your shoe? You can make it how you like. Is there anything else about like what makes it officially, technically, literally Nappa leather? I found some stuff that said it's tanned with chromium or aluminum sulfates.
So it is dyed in the chrome and aluminium salts. That's just to soften it up and make it durable.
That's good to know about the way it's tanned. The last thing, it scuffs easily.
Very easily.
Sounds like a downside to me, but I mean, but it's still more durable than cheap sneakers, but it's not going to send up to as much beating up as a boot leather because you're not buying boots, you're buying sneakers.
Yes, that's why we always advise the aftercare. We nourish the leather. That's the most important thing about softening it up, making sure the natural oils are still in there. Otherwise, it becomes dry. The water dries the leather out as well. Regardless whether that is Nappa or whether that is a different kind of leather, you've still got to make sure that the natural oils are being added.
Right, paradoxically, if it gets wet, then it's going to dry out.
Yes, it's just a bit like our skin.
How often should I condition it, and what do I condition it with?
Deeply conditioning, I would advise probably once a month.
Every month I've got to put oil on my sneakers?
It's a tub of cream and a cloth and give it a wipe. That's all it takes. So we use the product Sapphire Nappa.
This company, they're French. They really universally seen as the fanciest shoe care brand there is. It's the creme de la creme, the shoe creme de la creme. That's a little pun there. Look, listen, I'm not conditioning it every month, but I'll do it a couple times a year for you. I'll do that.
If you'd like the shoes to last, I advise you to nourish them.
I've got plenty of Nappa leather shoes. They do indeed scuff, and I don't know how to fix the scuffs. We're doing a longer video on how to fix scuffs, but really quickly, they're two products that you use for scuffs, depending on how bad the scuff is.
So we use Scratch Doctor to try and get all the scuffs and scratches out. It's great because it builds up in the scratch and it actually closes it off, rather than just dyeing it white and making it look like it's part of the shoe. So this actually blends it out.
Yeah, a lot of like colored creams out there, they'll sort of like seep into the scratch, but then really quickly they'll just like brush away, and the scuff will still be, it'll come back very quickly. Scratch Doctor, Kamila, it's her career to find ways to restore shoes. They do that here at Goral, and this one works really well. And then there's one more that when it's a really deep scratch in the leather, you have something that like fills in this scratch, right?
So in order to close a scratch, which is near enough to all the way through, we close it with elastic glue. It's water-based, and then after that dries and it's closed, the gap, we go back to the Scratch Doctor to fully cover it, and also so it's not visible.
It's kind of like patching it with cork, right, on your wall.
It's basically filling it through
the
hole,
All right, well, we're not going to get too far into all that fixing scuff stuff. We have another video on that, but that's a pretty good guide to Nappa leather. Anything else people always ask you about Nappa leather?
Not really.
No one's ever asked you about Nappa leather except for me, have they?
No.
Probably the best sneaker leather, just because, again, it's like right between cheap, bad sneaker leather and too uncomfortable for sneakers boot leather. It's just right in the middle. And while it does scuff easily, which I was always like, I'd rather not wear it anyway, turns out if you know what to do, you can make it pretty scuff proof as well. Thanks for having me in your workshop,
Thank
Kamila.
you for having me.
We're at Goral. We're at Goral Shoes here in Sheffield, UK. They make shoes with Nappa leather, and they also resole and repair the shoes themselves. That's why she knows so much about this, because it's one of the very few brands that they can resole your sneakers and get them looking spick and span again. Thanks for our guide to Nappa leather. Go check out Goral, and we'll see you for the next video.